Interesting. Oh, he can't see. Can he see? Yeah, let's use an L. Okay. We're on. Okay, we're good to go.
I will now call to order the October 7th, 2025 school board meeting of the Stanwood-Camano School District Board of Directors. All of our directors are present: Schreiber, King, Murray, and Evans, and Director Olson is joining us electronically there. You can hear us. Thank you for waving. And we have both of our student representatives here today. So today we're offering 2 opportunities for the public to speak. Comments specific to the consent agenda will be allowed prior to the vote on those items. Citizens who have submitted a request to speak during the public comment section of the agenda will be called upon to make their comments at that time, which is near the end of the meeting. And I will ask one of our student representatives, Alexa, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You have the agenda before you for the October 7th, 2025 regular school board meeting. Are there any changes to the agenda? Is there a motion to approve the agenda for the October 7th, 2025 regular school board meeting as written? Moved by Director Evans, seconded by Director Murray. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. The board has had the opportunity to review the September 16th, 2025 regular board meeting minutes. Are there any changes or corrections to those minutes? Is there a motion to approve the minutes for the September 16th, 2025 regular board meeting? Moved by Director King. Seconded by Director Murray. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. That passes unanimously. The board also has had the opportunity to review the September 16, 2025 special board meeting minutes. Are there any changes or corrections to those minutes? Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Director Evans.
Second.
Seconded by Director King. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. That passes.
Can I note that I'm abstaining from that particular role because I was not seated for the study session?
Yes, so noted there. Thank you, Director Olson.
Thank you.
It is now time for the superintendent's report.
Thank you very much. The first item on the superintendent's report is the reading in of donations, which our student representatives will present.
The Stanwood-Camano School District received the following donations. A donation of library supplies from the Dorothy Koch Foundation valued at $803.77 in support of Elder Bay Elementary School.
A 10-foot enclosed utility trailer were donated by the Stanwood High School band boosters to transport band equipment and instruments to competitions and events valued at $1,000.
Thank you very much. That is exciting as I go to other school districts to see our band, our ever-growing band represented and not having to put our instruments under the belly of the bus. So thank you for that, and thank you for the donation by the Dorothy Koch Foundation as well. The next item on the superintendent's report is our second school report. This report is the Stanwood High School school report by Principal Mike Washington and CTE Director Ross Short.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Superintendent Overnell, directors, and also student representatives for allowing us to present to you today. First and foremost, I always like to present for Stanwood High School because we do a lot of great things there. So to start with,
Left or right?
Is it on?
It's one of those technical things.
there we
Every
go.
time I
There we
know
go.
what they're talking about, I just hear people mutter like, oh, I forgot to turn it on sometimes, so.
So for future-ready graduates, we at Stanwood High School, we do a lot of things that we use to prepare students with futures of their choice. So this year, looking at our AAP, we're looking at what we're calling the 90% plan, where we want to ensure that all students are in ELA and math are at 90% as far as passing. Also, we want to make sure that our senior students who are currently at 85% as far as on track, we want to make sure that they're on track for graduation. We move that to 90%. Going back to the ninth graders, it's traditionally challenging for ninth graders to go from 8th grade to high school because of that transition academically, socially, and also it's a bigger school and they have more opportunities. If a ninth grader is on track at the end of the school year, they're 3 to 4 times more likely to graduate high school. So some of the things that we do, first off, we do what is called a freshman-only first day that is led by the Link crew. And also, we also have a ninth grade success team that help keep kids on track. Our current AAP data, this is early in the year. However, currently all of our math and ELA students are currently at least at 90%. In area of focus, as I mentioned earlier, the 12th graders, we're currently at 85.4% on track. However, we'll talk about some things that help us support these goals. So looking at some of these AAP actions right here, it supports goal 3 of our strategic plan. One is we offer what is called Spartan Time, which are interventions that students can go and discuss and get support from their teachers throughout the day on Thursdays. We also have after school support, which is from 2:10 to 2:40 for students, where they can check in with their teachers and for support. We also have math nights and what we call Eating Completes for all students. One thing that we started this year, as you all are aware, is, and I want to talk a little bit about the data here, is the no cell from bell to bell. Currently, we have 26 students who have had their devices collected for twice, okay? We have 12 students who have their collected 3 times, and we also have 239 students who have had their devices collected 1 time. What this tells us is that our teachers are all on board with this and they're following through with this expectation. Our Spartan leadership team reported yesterday that students are really, really engaged and that they're better within working with groups as they're communicating better with each other. Another one of our AAP goals is we created goals where teachers create 2 strategies where they're able to help students build rapport as well. One is standing by the door. One teacher reports, I have added a 5-minute meditation at the beginning of class to focus on one thing they want to learn. This helps prepare students for learning and helps get their mind ready to learn. One teacher also reported that within the class periods, of 5 periods of the day, they make sure that they call out each student's name in those class periods. They help build those relationships. Okay. Here are some of the sources of the data that we're pulling from, but I will focus on what we call formative assessments, where teachers have entry tasks, exit tickets, think, pair, share, and class discussions, where they get feedback from students and then they use that to adjust their teaching of what the students need. The next thing is also, we want to look at what is called community engagement and culture. So this year, what I've done is created what we call a principals advisory group so that we can check in with students to get feedback to help us ensure that students' voices are being heard and also create structures to support those students. Last week, we held a Nick of Time event where over 700 students were screened for a healthy heart. And each day, mostly, there are 10 plus colleges and military visits throughout October that are visiting our cafeteria to check in with students for their future, which this covers goal 4 of our for future ready graduates. Again, as I reported earlier, we created that principal advisory group to get student voices. So that's something that we want to do better this year, get more student voices as well. And also students have reported that staff is being very helpful in making sure that they are comfortable and making sure that they are able to receive structures to help them be successful. What we expect to see this year at Stanwood High School is continue our credit retrieval, improve our student voices I talked about earlier. And next week, Mr. Short will be doing a trade-up event here in Stanwood, as well as Career and College Ready Fair will be on October 22nd. Both of those, which are goal 4 for our future ready graduates. So again, those are some of the things that we have going on at Stanwood High School. Are there any questions? Yes.
Sounds like we're doing really, really well on that smartphone issue. And though I'd like some more insight too. So on this bell-to-bell policy, define that more and also what happens to the devices during that time, assuming they're behaving.
Okay, so bell-to-bell policy means there are no phones utilized or used doing from second bell to the last bell, meaning they should have those phones put away. Now, if a staff member sees a phone, they take the phone, they collect it, and they call the front office, and the security guard or one of the administrators will come and get the phone until the end of the day. The student will check in at the end of the day, and then they will get the phone. Now, if they continue to do this, like if it gets to number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, if it gets to number 5, then they'll get more discipline, right? And number 6, meeting with myself and so forth. So hopefully we don't get there, right? Right now we're number 3, so at the highest.
Also in the news media, I've seen some really good reports on other districts, like Spokane started about a year ago. The students really, a lot of them really liked it. And have we had any of that kind of feedback from our students and parents, or how much pushback?
Honestly, there may have been a few pushbacks, but a lot of the students have said that they like it as well.
So you mentioned that you have a principal's advisory committee now, and I'm wondering, are we doing any coordinated efforts with our student advisors to make sure that they're being able to get connecting with and bringing the student voices up to this level?
I thought about that. I haven't included her or either one of those. Well, he's at Lincoln Hill.
Correct.
But what I was trying to do, I reached out to staff members to provide me students who may not be heard more often, right? You know what I mean? They may be sitting in the corner. They may be struggling to attend school. They may have a attendance problem. So I want to make sure that we hear those voices to make sure that we get those students involved as well. So.
And I kind of going back to Dr. King, can I put our students on the spot? Have you guys had any feedback on our new cell phone policy and how it is with the student body?
I really like the rule that we changed about picking it up, because I actually had a friend who had to pick up her brother's phone, so I like that they changed it to where the students, even on the second offense, can still pick it up, because I know parents work throughout the day and the office closes early and they might not make it to pick up the phone.
So thank you for that. So what she's saying is at first, at the beginning of the year, on the second offense, the parent had to pick it up. So that was feedback that we took. and we utilized and we changed it to more progressive discipline or progressive steps, so to speak, so that on the second offense, the students still will pick it up. On the third offense, the students still pick it up. So we took into account staff, not staff member, but families' work schedules and things like that. So yeah, we took that into account.
I don't have a lot in particular to say, but I definitely noticed a lot more engagement at my school, overall. I think since they found policy much stricter, people are more engaged with each other, the material, for sure.
Definitely. Even during passing period, some of the kids were not using their phones even during passing period. So, they were talking and carrying them on. So it's kind of fun to see. Even when I go around, I don't take my phone.
So it says 90.5% of staff greet students at the door. So how are we managing that? Are you doing walks around to make sure that people are doing that? How are we tracking that?
We do walk-arounds, during transition period as well, but also staff self-report, right? So I do a survey, and there are different steps to it, and have staff vote as well. But do we go around and actually take data? Mental data, yes.
Okay. And then my second question is down here it says let me find it. Trade up October 14th for juniors and seniors, 8:30 to 1:30 at the fairgrounds. I'm assuming that there will be come and go privileges at the school for the students, or are we busing them down there? How is that working?
we're transporting them down there,
Okay.
so it's just like a normal field trip.
Okay.
Yes, so we'll catch a bus in the morning and transport it down, and then at the end we'll bring it back.
So it's a whole day event, or they're just down there for the day?
Yeah, it's a whole day event. I believe there's about 18 different trades represented. I'm looking at Director Murray in her other role, her real job, but 18 different trades will be represented at this event. So the kids will be broken into groups of about 12, and they'll rotate through each of those stations. And Lakewood and Marysville are also bringing students up for it. So.
Okay. So
And it's more of a hands-on
Yeah.
event versus just
asking questions.
asking
Yes.
questions and passing.
Yeah, it is. We've gone to several of these similar events. It's probably one of my favorites because that every station has to have a hands-on activity so the kids are trying out. This is one of the things you actually do in this profession. So, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
I want to give Director Olson an opportunity if you have any questions out there.
There's some work going on outside my door, and it's causing a lot of background noise, so I'm going to pass for the moment. And I want to thank Director Short and Principal Washington for a very thorough approach. I really appreciate seeing the focus on ninth grade success rates and your credit treatment for seniors. And the event on coming up in the fairgrounds on the 14th was very powerful for students.
Thank you.
And my question to you, you had a big event at the high school the other week, 700 and some students or whatever. Would you give us a brief 30 seconds on that?
I think it was fantastic. I mean, and Lauren, who's our not special, but she is our athletic director as well as activities director. She ran that event, but being able to see her act that was very it was humbling. It was a humbling experience for me, for people to come in to our school and to be able to get their heart tested and things like that. So it was just a humbling event.
Oh, tagging on to that, so we think the final number was 687. We're screened. So they found 6 students with possible issues that then were referred on. So it was a cool event. The kids, they came in, blood pressure and all those things. They went and they had the EKG done, 10-minute EKG, and then at the end, as they waited for the results, they had a mini CPR lesson, and we even had some of our sports med students helping in teaching the CBRP. So it was and I believe there were like 150 volunteers on site that day. So we had a lot of traffic that day.
Well, thank you all for doing that, and I appreciate all that the district is doing in safety and wellness for our students, so thank you. And thank you too, in the football team for a great game Friday night. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both. That ends the superintendent's report for today.
All right, thank you, Superintendent O'Connell. We'll now move on to the consent agenda. Anyone in attendance may speak to the items contained in the consent agenda, and only those items contained in the consent agenda at this time. This is not the portion of the meeting for open public comment on items outside of the consent agenda. That is coming up soon. Are there any board directors who wish to pull any item from the consent agenda? Okay, hearing none and nothing there. We have 7 items on the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve consent agenda items 1 through 7.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Director Evans, seconded by Director King. All those in favor of approving consent agenda items 1 through 7 say aye.
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 Any opposed say no. And that passes unanimously. Okay, we have no old business to discuss. The citizens wishing to address the board are asked to submit online requests using the public comment link on our website or by email 2 hours prior to the board meeting start time. For those attending the meeting in person, request forms are available in the boardroom for submission prior to the meeting start time. Citizens who wish to provide documents to board directors will hand them to the recording secretary for distribution after the meeting. And the board president will call on individuals who have requested to speak during the public comment section of the agenda. Individuals will state their name for the record and will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. We have 4 requests here for comments today. To be respectful of our speakers, please refrain from responding to the comments of the speakers. As a matter of order, because this is the board's business meeting, the board is providing an opportunity for the public to comment. However, the board does not create discussion on these comments within the meeting as they are not part of the agenda. Comments will be followed up on after the meeting if that is appropriate. When it's your turn to comment, please state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. The timer on the screen, the yellow light means you have 1 minute left, and the red light means that your time to address the board is up. Our first speaker today is Angela Nickerson.
Hello, my name is Angela Nickerson, and I am the mother of 3 children who have grown up in the Stanwood-Camano School District, one of whom is no longer with us. I'm here today to address the hateful rhetoric that was commented by a community member at the last board meeting. I think it's important for you to hear that there are many in the school district that strongly disagree with these statements. My son, Wyatt Ray Nickerson, took his own life as a result of people like this who would throw hate and intolerance at our children while falsely claiming that they are protecting them to further their political agendas in our schools. Wyatt was smart. He was funny. He was a talented athlete and a gifted artist. He was a good friend, and he was bisexual. He was so terrified of how he would be seen and treated by his peers at school that he killed himself. Because of all the intolerant, hateful messages he received from community members like we heard from at the last board meeting, we lost him. Know this, if you share these views and you voice them, our children are listening and you are killing them. The quality I admired most in Wyatt was his passion to defend people who are being mistreated or bullied. This is his legacy, and I am here today to honor it and to continue it. LGBTQIA+ children are 4 times more likely to commit suicide than their peers. Just one supportive adult in their life reduces that risk by 40%. Our schools and teachers are literally saving lives when they simply believe kids when they tell them who they are. I'm here to beg you to keep doing what is right and life-saving for the kids in our school district who need you. Suicide is the second leading cause of death in 10 to 14-year-olds, and the third leading cause of death in youth aged 15 to 19. I had no idea that such young ages were at such a high risk before I lost my son. I want other adults to be informed and to know that their acceptance can have a monumental difference in a child's life. Studies show that having open, honest communication around suicide can prevent it from happening. We need to dispel the shame this topic carries and normalize reaching out for help. And we need to stand up and speak out when hate is being inflicted in our community. This is how we save our kids. This is how we keep them safe. I have been in classrooms around the district for over 10 years, and over I've seen teachers meet students where they are and offer the support that leads to their eventual success. Keep doing that. And ignore the political following that want to inject their bigoted views into our district and rip it apart. Thank you for your continued commitment to do what is best for all of the students in our schools.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Charlene White.
Hi, I'm Charlene White and I've lived on Camano for 18 years. I have 3 granddaughters living here in Stanwood. 2 have graduated and the youngest is a sophomore at the high school. Reading through the desired changes proposed for policy 3241, many questions are raised regarding rationale and purpose of the changes. The policy needs to be studied. Why do we need these changes? Most importantly, how do these changes affect our target, students? We need input from all stakeholders, staff, students, parents, volunteers, and the community. This policy needs further study to make sure it's what's best for our students. It is so critical that our students have every opportunity to learn in a safe environment.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Samantha Smith.
I'm just gonna skip.
Hello, my name is Sam Smith. I live on Camano Island. I have 2 kids who attend schools in the school district. One is a 4th grader at Utsalati and the other is a 7th grader at Saratoga. I'm speaking today to advocate for the school district to begin outreach to the community to establish a special education parent advisory council. The purpose and function of a local special education parent advisory council goes beyond an advocacy group, an immediate concern, or a PTO. The goal would be to improve district culture, improve educational outcomes and well-being for all students, and help identify unmet needs. Per the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, each state is required to establish and maintain a statewide advisory council, but not a local one. Although this would be parent-driven, there is an important role that school district staff and leaders could play in outreach and input. Speaking from personal and professional experience, being the parent of a student receiving special education services can feel very isolating. Dealing with all those acronyms, trying to understand the IEP process, and having the information you need to successfully advocate for your child can be super overwhelming. I think the formation of a special education parent advisory council could strengthen the bridge between the school district and families and address system-level challenges affecting students with disabilities and their families. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Michelle Huntley.
Okay, so we're all already crying. My name is Michelle Huntley. I'm president of Stanwood-Camano. I'm sorry, it's very emotional. After listening to Andy's story, I would like you to have information that are facts rather than made-up stories that were presented last month. Our LGBTQ youth needs support and acceptance. Our LGBTQ youth consider suicide 4 times more than their cis peers. Our trans kids consider suicide 32 times more than the peers. And due to recent upholdings of the Supreme Court to anti-transgender laws, Trevor Project's research has found a 72% increase in youth suicide among trans and non-binary youth. It's home because that's my child. I received the call last June that my child was being transported to the hospital because they told a friend they were going to kill themselves that night. They are supported at home. I was shocked, and I'm very lucky that they told somebody to not have the same outcome as Angie. But this is real, and this is our kids. This is not politics. This is not preference. If you don't understand something, then educate yourself on it. Don't just throw out words, because our kids hear these words and they hurt. They hurt more than just our kids, obviously. We have policy and procedure 3211 and 3230 that protect student privacy and require gender inclusive schools. Students over 13 have the right to use the name and pronouns that they identify with. If they're in a household that does not understand or accept that, they can face verbal and emotional abuse. Their families can kick them out. Most homeless youth are LGBTQ. We now have to worry that there's volunteers in our schools getting this information about supposedly Elder Bay and sharing it outside of the schools, again violating FERPA laws, and it just keeps happening. I don't know who to trust anymore, but I urge our board to listen to our kids and learn about what they are experiencing. Don't trust the fake stories that you hear. Don't trust the Facebook warriors. These are people, these are humans, and these are families. Trans and non-binary has existed as long as humans have walked the earth, so this is not new.
Thank you. Speakers, thank you for taking the time to share your thoughts with us today. We will now move on to topics scheduled for board discussion. The first item is the first reading of new board policy 3226, interviews and interrogation of students on school premises. Any questions, discussions on that policy? Any comments? Okay. Do we have consensus to move that on to a second reading then? Okay, and we're good there. Mr. Olson, thank you. We will move that on to a second reading for next meeting. Item number 2 is the first reading of revised board policy 3241 on student discipline. Discussion on that.
I think we need to delay moving it on to a second reading until we maybe have a study session, because the radical changes to the policy, the chair was deleted, and so it seems like there maybe needs to be another policy to replace the deleted parts. So anyway, I move that we not move it to a second reading yet until we have more time to study it.
Okay.
What, specifically, what do you object to?
Well, the quantity of, well, for one thing, in the title, the word discipline is replaced with something really ambiguous, for example. But then the content, the chair is deleted, which is how much red there is.
Let me ask our superintendent. There is an awful lot of red in there, things being taken out. Excuse me.
Sure.
Comment on that.
Yep, I'd be happy to discuss the changes that took place to, the proposed changes to 3241 student discipline. And as Director King pointed out, the name does change, but the intent, the changes are to ensure compliance with the state and federal laws and align with the best practices. This is a required change when we fall under, WASDA's 3 tiers of change. There was emergency rules made last year, an OSPI study that was over 2 months long on the emergency rules with that. And this was actually recommended back in September of 2024 for a change by WASDA. So we have studied kind of the implications or practices as well to make the adjustments to this. The adjustments to that you see with red strikes do fall in line with the recommendations from WASDA. One of the points that you made about a large chunk of it, particularly on the last page, being taken out, I think that that is summarized in the last paragraph that was not struck under development and review, and does much of the same work in that portion. So once again, the major changes have to do with coming into compliance with the new permanent WAC, 392-400 under student discipline, which was adopted in June of 2025.
And can you differentiate between the changes that are mandated by the law and the ones that are recommendations by WASDA?
I could look at that crosswalk, and maybe Dr. Ryan is able to elaborate on that as well. That's a significant crosswalk that we need to do between what WASDA recommended and the law. But in general, WASDA falls, their recommended policy changes fall in line with complying with the law. So they're legally driven changes.
So Director King, is the question the crosswalk between recommendations from WASDA and the WAC, more or less?
Well, define crosswalk.
So were the were the recommendations from WASDA all from the WAC recommendations? I haven't done that crosswalk, but I could to check how much they're in line. But like Superintendent Ovenell said, their WASDA recommends directly from the WAC.
There's the red stuff, there things that are omitted. There seems to be a lot of valuable stuff there, and so it'd be nice to retain whatever that we could.
Retain what's crossed out in red.
What's legal. Yes.
So just to clarify, I think a lot of it a lot of the stuff that is crossed out in red is perhaps crossed out and then either reworded or summarized differently, sort of next to it or below it. So, like for instance, that first paragraph that is crossed out in red, similar things but just differently phrased are in that sort of bolded section right below it. So they have to show what was different, and then like what they took out and how they changed different. So like some of them, some policies that we look at, it's easy because we're just striking a word or changing a phrase or adding an S. This one, we're taking large chunks of it and rewriting it so it looks a little bit different. Perhaps there's more red than normal would be sort of what I see. So like that first paragraph that you talked about, discipline, like we're not just saying like we're getting rid of that, like that paragraph right under it is sort of like replacing that paragraph. Does that make sense?
Well, it's not exactly, because I'm looking at the red in the latter part, starting development and review, and the quantity of red there is way, way larger than anything that could replace it. In the bold states, I think the bold is replacement, not so much of that.
Director Evans brings up a good point, though. A lot, even the bullets that fall under that first page, the purpose, those were reformatted, put in different order. So things that might appear in the red in that chunk that you're talking about could surface in other areas because there was reformatting in the structure of the document.
So not up above.
So like for instance, to Dr. Ryan's point, like if you look at the bullet points, the very bottom one says providing a safe environment for all students and for district employees. We've crossed that out. But if you look at the very first bullet point up top, it says providing a safe and supportive learning environment for all students. So like we took that and we put it up at the top instead of at the bottom. So a lot of the stuff is there. We've just maybe phrased it slightly differently or moved it.
Yes.
I'm happy to provide that crosswalk. And when we say crosswalk, we mean a layering over of the changes with the existing policy. And specifically, like Director Evans is talking about where those were and where they are now. as a mode to have more exploration between now and the second reading of the policy?
I think that would give us more time to do a deeper dive and do the crosswalk and hear from stakeholders and hold this over rather than at this time. I don't think we have consensus to move it to a second reading. So,
Well, did you ask?
Pardon?
Did you ask if we had consensus?
Well,
no.
I know.
I say, yeah, like if Superintendent Openall is saying that he would come with additional information so we can pull it off the consent agenda to discuss and address those items. I would be okay moving it to a second reading. I would say yes to consensus.
I'm not. I would agree with Director King. We want to see that crosswalk, so I would ask for more discussion at the next meeting. We continue it under item for board discussion when we have the crosswalk. Director Olson, your comment?
I think one of the critical paragraphs, and it's been alluded to already, that much of what was below has been moved to the top. But under the section development and review, the district will develop and periodically review a discretionary and non-discretionary discipline policy procedure. And during the development review, the district must use designated collected under RCW 28A300.042 to monitor the impact of our policy and procedures. One of the key is, while this is the policy, the actual action is going to be 3241P. And that's where the district, Superintendent Openall is going to direct somebody to develop the procedures that make sure all of the overriding policies come into place. And I think that's the more critical element, that we trust that the staff and Director Openall to both comply with law, comply with stakeholder environment, and comply with the needs of students to experience a physically and emotionally safe environment in which they can learn to the best of their life.
Thank you, Director Wilson.
So, I mean, I'm ready. I'm okay with moving it to second reading.
Well, I'd still like to see which of those things are mandated by law and which of the laws of recommendations that we really don't have to follow legally. And
I'm going to say that's not unreasonable. In my previous role, prior to retiring, that is one of the things that I always did with make a significant change to recommended policy language was to provide the board at the time the specific RCWs and WACs that were driving these recommendations. And as Superintendent Openall indicates, we have to be able to direct the staff to comply with changes from our state legislature.
Thank you.
To make sure that we're not going beyond that.
So the procedures are your area. Can we have that next meeting to go along with our policy? Is there any change to the procedures?
There would be a change to the procedures based on the policy change, but it would fall in line with the draft policy change as first reading. It would fall in line with what the major changes are around the changes in the law. The substantive changes are really around, and it doesn't change our practice right now. The changes are around, making sure that we're serving every student. We're using restorative practices already. They're emphasizing non-punitive supports as opposed to exclusionary supports. Those aren't supports, but exclusionary acts. And then, like was just mentioned by Director Olson, a regular review of disparity data or data with regard to discipline. So I'm happy to do the crosswalk like I talked about. We can generate that so that it's clear about how the strikes are broken out and maybe supported in other parts of the policy. And Definitely do that.
Could we move that along with the idea that we'll probably pull it from the consent agenda for further discussion at the next meeting?
Absolutely, yeah, and that would be my suggestion because, again, we're already out of compliance with the new laws that come into effect in 2024. So it would be in our best interest to at least move it to a second reading. Again, anything on a consent agenda, we could pull it if we didn't have the information that we needed from Superintendent Ovenell. At that time, we could say like, oh man, we probably need more information, but we at least make that secondary step to move it along so that if we do have the information and we agree, we're in a position that we could approve it on the consent agenda. But anything from the consent agenda can be pulled and discussed.
So do we have consensus then to move it to the second reading and have the information for the discussion at the next meeting?
Absolutely.
Director Olson, you good?
Yeah, I think we should move it to the second reading, and if between now and then we don't get information that's being asked about yourself, then I think we could pull it at our next meeting and then ensure we have the dialogue that's necessary to make sure there's a clear understanding of what is required by law, what is written by code, and then how it's adopted in policy.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Olson. So I think we do have consensus to move it on to a second reading at this point, and we'll get the other information we need on that. Is that agreeable to all? Okay. Then we will move that on to a second reading. And the last item on our board discussion today is the first reading on a new policy, Board Policy 4060, distribution of information. Is there consensus to move that on, or do we have any discussion on that policy? I think we're good on that one, so we have consensus to move that on to a second reading then. All right, that's the good part. Student representatives report on school business.
We don't have the best service,
Yeah, I'll do mine first. So we've had a couple of home football games, and our football team is doing really well. We had a game September 19th, and the game was country out, and we had like a big student section for that. So our ASB team was really happy, and our Spartans won 45-14 against Oak Harbor. And then we had our homecoming football game, which was September 25th. And our Spartans won 13-7 against the Homage. And then we just had that recent football game too, where our Spartans won 21-14 against Ferndale. So that's really great for our football team. And on September 22nd, we started our homecoming spirit weeks. And I would say we had like middle participation. I think students did a good job participating. Our spirit days were kind of like hard, I feel like, but we try to get the days to match up with homecoming. And then we held the homecoming parade as well, and we have over 450 clubs show up, so students from clubs showed up to that. And then our ASB president, Ryan Corey, ran the first ever car show, and we're hoping to make it an annual thing, but it was a small success, and we're hoping that people liked it. And then on October 1st, we had the Nick of Time Heart Screening, which was a great event. We had full volunteers, full signups, and we really want to thank the students and volunteers for the help, because we had the students volunteer as well. And that was in honor of Dylan Gilman, a student who passed away last year. And this week, our ASB class has begun RAP Week, which is like a kindness week. So Monday, we had positive sticky notes, so we put like positive things on sticky notes and we put them around the school. And today we did candy compliments, where we put compliments on candy and pass it out to our students and our staff. And tomorrow we're doing a staff breakfast to thank the staff for their hard work and everything that they've been doing. And then on Thursday we're doing a campus cleanup, where our ASB class is going to go around campus and clean up during that. And then I mentioned this earlier, but just the phone rule, like the new change for pickup, I think has been working out really well. And we do have some future events, which we have the college fair on October 26th, or October 22nd, my bad. And we're doing an Ignite event, which is like a leadership event. So the first one is going to be October 29th, which is just our school, and it's just kind of an event for leadership. And then we have on October 30th as well, which is going to be our school and 22 other schools coming. And that's pretty much it. I will get more information on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for covering for me, Melissa. So we've had a few interesting things transpire in Lincoln recently. We had our Spirit Week from September 22nd to September 26th, and I would say our pajama day got the highest participation. I know I was excited for that. We observed Orange Shirt Day on September 30th, in which we wear orange shirts. Students wore orange shirts to commemorate the tragedies that occurred in Native boarding schools, and I think there was pretty decent participation there, both from students and staff. We had our first pancake breakfast of the year on September 25th during advisory period, and that went excellently. And we recently had session 1 of grading session 1 and did a block sheet reflection during advisory this past Thursday, and placed like a greater emphasis on seniors who are going to be graduating soon. In terms of upcoming events, the military is going to be holding the ASVAB test on Thursday, which is a test that is a common alternate pathway for students who may have concerns about the Smarter Balanced assessments. In terms of clubs, Gamers Guild began last week. It had their first meeting last Wednesday. Shop After Hours began this Monday. Our Fall Social, a free event for students, is set to take place on October 24th, and our school plans to conduct the Healthy Youth Survey on October 16th. A few highlights. Our leadership students have been very involved in a new medium of morning announcements in which slides are displayed on a Google Meet during second period, and the leadership class has been facilitating creating those slides and visual mediums for upcoming events, and that's been going pretty well. And we've had rotating groups of students presenting these announcements, and that has also been going excellently. And we recently had a bench that a student built in one of our Core Plus classes last year be placed in the Saratoga courtyard just this past week. That's all.
Thank you. That's a good information there. We'll move on to Board Director's report on business conducted, starting with Director Evans.
Yes, so was fortunate enough to pop down and see the parade. It was great to see how many community members were out there. I loved seeing the middle school bands marching in it as well. It wasn't just, we adjusted the schedule so it was a little bit later, so some of the younger kids could be part of it, and so I really enjoyed seeing that. Big shout out to Lauren for that Nick of Time event. She looked like she was running around like a chicken with her head cut off when I popped in that day. I imagine she might have slept for 3 days when she was done with that. She looked a little frantic when I drove through the parking lot. It was very busy. It looked like a really well-attended event. And just from the pictures and stuff online, it looked really well run. So shout out to Lauren on that one. Loved seeing the cars at the homecoming game, driving the homecoming court around. I thought that was a great way to bring the community into our school events as well. And I always love to hear about things that we're holding at our facilities where we're bringing other districts in to show how amazing our facilities are, and sharing our buildings with other folks. I think that's all I have. Just know, Angie, you're not alone. We all miss Wyatt. Thanks.
Thank you, Director Evans. Director Murray.
I likewise, I didn't get to participate as much in the homecoming events this year due to some other obligations, but loved seeing all of the pictures and the community building, especially with Bernie Middle School.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful that we are taking on, looking at students and realizing that they're just sometimes as acceptable to heart problems as older adults are, and trying to be more preventative and making sure that people are aware that it is an issue and it's not, something to, it's something that's very serious. And I want the ladies who spoke today to know that you've been heard. So, thank you.
Thank you, Director King.
I attended the State of the Schools presentation to the City Council by Director Ovena and the Superintendent, and very good. However, I was disappointed that almost nobody was in the audience. I arrived when I was there at the meeting start time. Evan Caldwell and I were the only ones there, besides up front. But three more did come in by the time we started, so yeah, very well done. Also, one really interesting point was that one of the city council members mentioned a super performing school in Austin, Texas, and named it AEGIS. And so I researched it. Very interesting. Private, extremely expensive. That location is at the lower end of their tuition scale, $40,000 per kid per year. San Francisco, the other end, $75,000 per kid per year. And so we can't exactly do that. They're making very heavy use of AI, but I hope that we can learn things from them to apply some of the good things they're doing at how we can afford it. It seems like we get some good ideas there.
Thank you, Director King. And I was part of the crowd at the City Council meeting online, and I wanted to commend our superintendent for the outstanding job he did there. I got to see a few of those cars at the football game as they drove around the track there, and we honored a lot of people there that day, our Hall of Fame people, all of the senior football players, the senior cheerleaders, the senior band people. We're going to have a longer halftime, I think. And I will ask Director Olson if you want to unmute and give us any comments you have.
I won't go into details, but I echo the comments about homecoming, the events surrounding it. I too was able to get to the car show, but unfortunately late. Many of the cars left. An opportunity to chat with some of our community members who brought them to show at the high school. Just the other is, I said it last time, I'm going to say it again, we're learning a lot by reading the newsletters that principals send to staff. And I want to congratulate the high school, especially because they are having the colleague shout-outs and sharing them about what they see happening with students in classrooms with high expectations. So keep that up. I think there's nothing worse, nothing better than colleagues supporting each other and commending each other publicly. It's a great trait and a good tool. Thank you for letting me zoom in.
Thank you. And as always, we'll give the last word to Superintendent Obanel.
Thank you. As has been mentioned, thank you to all of the speakers that took time this afternoon to speak on a number of different items. I appreciate it. And as the new policy calls out, we look for community feedback. So along that and the other items mentioned today. So thank you for that. It was brought up in Principal Washington's presentation around student voice. Student representatives Rogers and Lade I met before this meeting today to start to talk about the student superintendent leadership team, which will be kicking into motion. Actually, we're gonna move it to November to make sure we have full representation. They learned today that they'll be helping to drive that work this year, and it's about them as it's about student voice. The other change that this board will hear about is the addition of middle school voice coming into it as well. The objective would be to gather that student voice into the student superintendent leadership team and also hear about middle school reports at meetings as well. So that's forthcoming. And once again, thank you to all the schools for their engagement with the bell-to-bell, no-cell bell-to-bell. I do see engagement increasing, and it speaks to our focus on engagement and standards-aligned instruction happening. I was able to go to the Athletic Hall of Fame, the 11th Annual Athletic Hall of Fame. It was kind of the capstone to Ms. Amundsen's week, which was very busy, but just another good example of the community. I think there was 270 individuals that were there on Saturday night, just another example of the community coming together to celebrate. So thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Obanel. The board will move into a closed executive session, and we're going to need about 20 minutes to discuss that. So I would entertain a motion to amend our agenda for the executive session until 2:25 to review the performance of a district employee. Then we'll come back out and adjourn at that time. So would someone like to move to amend the agenda from 2:15 to 2:25?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Moved by Director Murray, seconded by Director King. All those in favor of amending the agenda from 2:15 to 2:25, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. And that passes unanimously. So the board will now move into a closed executive session until 2:25 to review the performance of a district employee. And we will also excuse our student representatives. You don't need to attend the executive session, so.
Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
So we'll take a real quick break, move into executive session, and we'll be back out in a few minutes.
We can have like 10 minutes. Yes.
We're gonna move upstairs.
Okay, sounds good.
Come back there. Take that, sign those.
I did a little bit.
You're good to go.
We are still in executive session and we're going to extend it 20 minutes until 2:45. So we will be in executive session until 2:45 at this time.
Like right at, but yeah, she was right at. I'll, did I take your seat?
No, you're fine, I'm moving my water.
Here, you scan this and get my information, I will connect to Sam. Oh.
I know.
Yeah.
You like it?
You are cool.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And he's gonna write that they're trying to type in names.
Can I do that?
Yeah. Yeah, that way you can give me your phone number and stuff and I will pass it on.
So now I do want to correct some grammar. She said good. And watch how that goes. Yeah. Believe me.
Yeah, it's just fold everything up. Oh, should not.
Okay. I'm on airplane. Sorry. Are you? Yeah. I saw the sign. I saw the sign. Sorry, Robin. Sorry.
That's probably why I didn't.
We have concluded our executive session. It's 2:45. There being no further business, the October 7th, 2025 regular board meeting is hereby adjourned.